In Australia, we have one of the best healthcare systems in the world, but it is becoming increasingly clear that for Australian patients to participate in breakthrough studies, Australian clinicians and researchers must be actively involved. This is particularly true for rare genetic diseases, where patients can often feel they fall through the cracks in care because many clinical trials are currently being conducted outside Australia. Genetic Cures Australia aims to fill this gap. Living with a rare inherited disease is often a long journey, which typically spans from having some initial symptoms to being diagnosed, to searching for the precise genetic cause for the disease, and then embarking on a search for a treatment. The key mission of Genetic Cures Australia is to ensure that regardless of where you are on this journey, you can still access the best, scientifically justified ticket towards a treatment. Genetic Cures Australia seeks to enable everyone in Australia living with an inherited disease to have access to appropriate leading gene-based therapies. So what do we mean by gene-based therapies? Imagine your individual DNA sequence of each cell in your body is represented by a railway track, and each letter of your genetic code is an individual sleeper on this track. Your full genetic code would be almost 60 times longer than all the railway lines we have in Australia, and every 600 metres or so, your genetic code will potentially differ to someone else's. Inherited diseases can develop because of different types of problems with the railway track. Sometimes major genetic changes occur. Imagine having the whole railway between Perth and Adelaide missing. Other times, the genetic changes are smaller but still very severe. These individual variants are a bit like a major train accident on the Sandringham line. This is what generally occurs in rare diseases, where a major disruption in one or two genes leads to a specific disease. For more common genetically complex conditions, there can be many small changes that together cause the disease, a bit like general congestion on the city loop. Gene-based treatments are largely going to depend on what type of genetic change needs to be overcome and how advanced the disease is. If there is one major change, then building a new track around the accident site may do the job. Gene augmentation or gene replacement therapies are beginning to show benefit for some inherited eye diseases. More recently, the adaptation of gene editing technology, such as CRISPR-Cas, has opened the prospect of precisely altering the genetic sequence in affected cells, similar to sending out a track repair crew to fix the faulty sleeper. Alternatively, you could replace the system by building a whole new train network, just as stem cell replacement therapies could be used for some conditions. Nonetheless, regardless of the approach, there are many important technological and safety issues to overcome, and there is a pressing need for scientifically sound research. The mission of Genetic Cures Australia is to ensure that Australian patients have access to these emerging studies. The changes that will come in the next few years will be breathtaking, but your support for Genetic Cures Australia is crucial to guarantee that everyone in Australia can ride the train.